Welcome to the Sunday Night Chat. My name is Mike, and it's Saturday night. It is Saturday. I'm doing this on Saturday because tomorrow's the Ciclovia, which is this thing that they do in Los Angeles where they'll take a road someplace and they'll block everything else from traffic, no cars, and they just allow bicycles. So it's going to be from Vermont to Fairfax. I'm kind of in the middle, so makes it easy for me. I'll wear that chest rig contraption that Robin and Patrick sent me, with the camera here, the phone. And I'll ride down to Vermont, then I'll ride past here all the way down to Fairfax and back, and I'll just record that. And I'll put that up tomorrow. So I'm doing this now because I know that they're already setting up. So you might hear some beeping and whatnot in the background. And tomorrow's going to be loud and everything else. So let's just get this out of the way now. And I'm not in a great mood. I'm usually pretty good with my with the manager here, but I just gave him a what the fuck thing for because there's been at least 4 days this month where we haven't had hot water because they started this construction back here. By the way, 2 weeks now, no work being done. 2 weeks. So how the hell is this shit going to get done in a timely way when they haven't already been working for 2 weeks? It pisses me off. And then they put this hot water heater out here. It's outside. They put like a shelter of plywood around it. I know they didn't do it right. The wind blows the right way. The pilot light goes off or something else happens and it trips a breaker. And last night I took a cold shower, which I wasn't happy about. Today I had to go to the shop on Saturday to get those doors made for that cabinet. And I came home. Did a couple things. I was looking forward to a nice hot shower. Let it run for like 5, 6, 10 minutes. No hot water. Friggin' pissed, man. I got a right to be pissed. So excuse my appearance. No nice shirt. No shower. No hair and makeup person. Just wearing my work t-shirt. It's not bad. I got a good stink. I stink good. Let's talk about this week, huh? That crazy conversation video I had. We're going to talk about that. Everything's fine. So as I reveal the details of that story, it's going to sound bad for a minute. You know me, I talk a lot. So for several minutes, it's going to sound like, oh no, it's going off the rails. What a terrible thing. But in the end, it worked out okay. But there was a period of time of, a day or so where I was like, what the hell, man? Whoa, bro, what the hell? Now, lemon water. As I sometimes do here, I will talk about what happened this week in politics. And a few things happened this week, a couple things at least, where it kind of ties in with I can draw some parallels to the conversation I had with them. Them is the appropriate term for this particular individual, whose name I'm not going to mention. It doesn't matter that the first name is mentioned in the video. For those of you that don't know, I met somebody, and I'm going to get to the story, but I want to get to the political stuff first, who is one of those people that had a surgery to turn themselves into the opposite sex. We're going to get into that. So yeah, it's crazy. That happened this week. The video went down for a day, and now it's back up where his or her or them, whatever. The face is blurred, and you guys will hear about why shortly. So, couple things. One is some of the responses I got from that video, because a couple of old timers, mostly old dudes, have a problem with the fact that I did the video, treated another human being like a human being. Just because I did that doesn't mean that I condone that thing, But I keep saying to you guys, it's not up to me to judge that. You shouldn't be judging either. But you guys aren't thinking right about it. You should go back and watch that video and listen to what that person says and listen to the way I'm talking to them. And I think it should be pretty clear while I'm being fun and funny and kind, the questions and the answers are such that it's, I'm not. Go back and listen to that. I'm listening to it going, holy crap, I can't believe I was saying the things I said. It's pretty crazy. And I just wanted to tie that in with what happened with this meeting with Mondami and Trump. I guess that was yesterday. And I watched that and I'm laughing the whole time like Trump is just. People don't understand what he's doing. And he keeps doing this. And he keeps playing the other side and winning because of it. And it's so funny. It's like, okay, he's going to be super nice to the guy and give him the help he could get. Because the outcome is either it works and it's good for New York, or he tries to give the guy what he wants, and then because of the way that guy thinks, he wrecks it. It doesn't do any good, which is not going to make him look good. Or he just outright fails with everything. Can't get the funding. The state doesn't approve the tax raise and everything else. So that falls apart. Or, I mean, if it works, think about this. Like, Mondami's base has to look at him and go, wait a second, you worked with the evil orange man? Like, it doesn't look good for the left in any way that you look at it, and Trump looks like this diplomatic guy. This is the thing. This is like Trump talking to Putin. Some people are like, oh, why are you talking to that person? Well, that's exactly what I did with this interview. You see what I'm saying? I did the exact same thing. And I wasn't trying to make that person look bad or anything. Again, we're going to get into that. And the other thing I want to talk about, and I got a bunch of notes here. I'm trying to remember it, but I'll glaze over this real quick to make sure I say everything I want to say here. But the other thing is a bunch of these morons came out on social media and the news trying to tell military and I suppose CIA or FBI, anybody who's working for the government to disobey unlawful orders. Oh my God. Okay, so newsflash, for those of you who haven't been in the military, that's already part of the description of what they tell you. Like when, your military code of justice and standards, all these things that you learn, that's already there. That's already there. If your commanding officer tells you to go over and cut somebody's head off, you could say, no, I'm not going to do that. That's the way our military already works. Not the same if you're, in the Islamic army or one of those things. They tell you to cut somebody's head off or go stone that woman or kill that kid or whatever, that you go do that, right? It's, that's not how it is with us. That's already existed. It's already existed. And all they're doing, like they always do, it's like it's happened with Trump on the Air Force One the other day. There's this reporter, her name's Peggy, and she's constantly interrupting him, and he's telling her, be quiet, Peggy. But they made it sound like he said piggy. So everybody's saying he said piggy. And this is what the left does all the time. Jasmine Crockett came out the other day and said that, listed a whole bunch of Republicans that took money from people named Jeffrey Epstein. Not the actual Jeffrey Epstein that we all know about, just people named Jeffrey Epstein. Like that was, and so the insinuation was that it was the real Jeffrey Epstein. When she got called out on, she says, well, I said a person named Jeffrey Epstein. I wasn't. Well, then what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? This is what they do. This is what they do. The Virgin Island woman, same thing. She's I got to hold my head together while I speak so my head doesn't explode. She's telling people, she's getting text messages from the actual Jeffrey Epstein on how to ask questions about Trump in real time. And then saying how, well, you got to talk to criminals to get to the truth. And come on. It doesn't look good, man. But the thing is you only know the reality of those situations if you watch something like a Fox News or some other conservative thing or independent journalism. If you're listening to NPR or CBS or ABC, by the way, Trump has gotten close to $100 million already from a bunch of news organizations, including NPR and CBS and I think ABC and a bunch of others. And he's going to get more. His presidential library is going to 100% be paid for by the people who've been talking crap about him for 10 years. This is all truth. Everything I'm telling you. It's friggin' crazy. And so the thing that gets to me is that this programming thing I talk about here all the time when it comes to the education system and our kids, it's been happening since I was a kid. Okay, I think that the Gen Xers are kind of like the last generation of people with common sense that can kind of see through the bullshit, because they were already starting. And when I went to college, I was boy, that was probably around 1990 or so, and I was 23, 24 years old, and I was 23, and I remember being in these classes, especially philosophy and my first psych course, and arguing with the professors, just like, what, everything you just said, it seems like bullshit to me. That's not the life I live. That's not how I experience things. And I got, I had a 3.4 average, somebody gave me grief the other day. I was talking about your mind and how you can control your emotions and life, and you're in control of your destiny. And he's like, "What are you, a psychiatrist now?" Some idiot, another idiot. Yeah, I said it, bro. Well, I don't have a degree. Anybody who's lived a life where you've made the study of other humans part of your normal thing, we understand this stuff. And I did have 4 college level psych courses. Doesn't mean I'm a psychiatrist, right? Every psych professor I had told me I should do that. But I also did the acting thing, right? For better or worse, for those of you that don't like that. So, I learned to study human nature. I analyze things, and which we're going to get into this video with this person. So I understand the way people think. I understand their motivations. I understand it. So yeah, I might not be a clinical psychiatrist or something, but what I'm doing is nothing that anybody else can't do or understand. I'm not some genius or something. I'm just applying my brain. I'm so pissed off about this shit. So I talk about this a lot. I always bring up as the example the Common Core math. And this, how long ago is that? 10 years, 15 years ago? Where when that happened, I thought it was a joke. I didn't think it was real. And then I realized it was real. And I looked into it, and it was like taking, 4 plus 4 is 8 to a word problem of multiple paragraphs of trying to understand. It's the dumbest thing ever. And right from the jump, I said it. I stick by it. And it was designed to get our children to accept absurdity so that they will accept anything else that comes down the pike. And those kids today are now in the military. You understand what I'm saying? So they've been programmed, their brains have been programmed to accept certain things. That's the problem. These people are attempting a coup within our military. This is a real serious problem. So it's just stupid. It's just these people come out and say things that have never happened, not gonna happen. They're alluding to things that are fantasy bullshit just to gin up their base and keep them angry and keep us divided and everything else. And also to deter, deflect away from their losses. They keep losing, Trump keeps winning. So it's like what happened. I told you, the whole shutdown thing, all that was about motivating their base so that people in those blue states and blue cities go out to vote so they can keep the positions that they had already. That's all that was. It wasn't a loss for Republicans. It was just status quo for the left. That's all that was. So I see it. I mean, when Obama came along, I made a bunch of predictions that all came true. And I'm just some guy living in an apartment, talking to his phone, working in a garage. I knew he was a commie. I knew that things weren't going to go well. How did you know that? But all these other people didn't know that. Well, I'll tell you there, Nancy. I went ahead and looked him up, looked into his life, looked at his book. Interesting. His mother, his father, his stepfather, his grandparents, all his friends, all self-admitted, dyed-in-the-wool socialists and communists. 100%. All of them. In his book, he said he sought out the radical peoples to hang out with. He's a Saul Alinsky fan, as is Hillary. So, look up Saul Alinsky. Read Rules for Radicals. This is not a secret. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's all true. So when he came along, I looked into him. I think he was a senator for 181 days or something. Next thing you know, he's running for president. And by the way, the birth certificate, I don't care where he was born, all right? But the point, that birth certificate is fake. Just so you guys, if you don't know that, please look into it. It was a digitally manufactured thing. It's been proven 100%. It's a fake birth certificate. Call me crazy and make up all kinds of things, but please look that up before you start typing dumb comments here about that. It's a fake birth certificate. The whole thing was some kooky setup. And yeah, so I said, hey, there's going to be more division. Fuel prices are going to go up. There's going to be more wars. Everything I said happened. And I'm not happy about that. I'm not. When Obama got elected, I understood why it happened, at least as far as like the way they were portraying it. I even bought newspapers when he won, thinking, hey, these newspapers might be worth something someday. I still have them. You know? But I didn't want him to fail. I didn't want him to be as successful as he was at breaking the country apart, bringing about more racism and everything. I'm not happy about that. He was successful with that. But I wanted him to be successful with running the country. I wanted things to get better. I wanted prices to come down. I wanted there to be less war in the world, like when Trump's president. You know, they're all up in arms about blowing up these drug boats. Fuck those motherfuckers. Fuck them. They have this way of saying every drug boat that comes in is responsible for 25,000 dead Americans. I don't know if those numbers are accurate, but the idea is the truth. You know, every drug boat that comes through, is, especially with fentanyl, are going to lead to American suffering. Now, people do drugs. You're not going to stop that from happening. But, you know, other countries are trying to destabilize us. That's a real thing. So we finally got a guy in there with balls who's not going to talk about. What did I watch the other day? Clear and Present Danger. I watched that on Netflix. I was shocked it was on Netflix. And it's very similar. They've got a problem with drug cartels, and they send like a special forces team down there to start taking out drug cartels and everything. We don't have to do that today. Today we have the technology in the sky. We can look at it, send a drone down, and kaboom. We don't have to send guys and put them on the ground now. But it was fascinating how that parallels what's going on now, that film. You guys should watch that again. Pretty amazing stuff. So we finally got a guy that's doing it. So I'm happy about it. We're not going to have, with Trump, I don't believe, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I can admit to being wrong. I don't believe we're going to have a major boots on the ground invasion someplace. When I say that, that doesn't mean we won't have small teams of guys on the ground taking out specific targets. But most of the stuff that we could do from the air. We don't need that. We're not going to have conventional war anymore. Not like the last group of guys that were presidents and dealing with the military-industrial complex and everything else. And, you understand what I'm saying. That's not going to happen with Trump in there. So, anyhow, I just wanted to get all that out there because we get to this conversation I had with this person. I forgot to look at the watch, and I've been talking for quite some time. We'll have to guesstimate this. Crap, it's almost 5 and I got to cook dinner too. All right, look. I met this person because I bought a toolbox from them. And when I went over there, this is the video with the guy with the heads blurred. It's a straight man talks with transgender dude. Check the video. I'll put a link to it underneath here in the description box. And I go in there, and there was a kind of a funny look in his eye, and he was shirtless, and I could see these scars around the nipples and this big honking scar on the arm here. And right away, I put that together, and I just blurted it out. I said, "Were you born a dude?" And a big smile on their face, and they're like, "Well, no, it's pretty good detective work there." Started calling me a detective, and I said, "So you had the penis built?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, does it work?" And he said, "No." And then I left it at that because that was within like less than a minute of me meeting this person. So we looked at the box. I decided to buy it. And I bought it because of this situation. I was like, this is too crazy of a situation. I got to buy the box. It was more than I wanted to spend, although it's worth a lot more than what I spent on it. And we get it outside to the van, and then we stand out there on the street, this person shirtless the whole time, for 2 hours talking. And right away I said, you know, I got this YouTube channel. You know, every once in a while I have somebody on and I talk to them. It's not an interview, it's a bullshit session. And they were all over it. Oh yeah, that'd be fun, you know? Okay. And then we continued to speak. And that's when I learned that it, you know, when it was a female, when they were a female, I don't want to be mean. I don't not like the person necessarily, and I'm not going to be mean-spirited about the person. I'm a little aggravated, you know, a little turned off by it because of the inconsistent behavior. And if you guys have been here long enough, you know, surefire way to piss me off and set me off is be inconsistent. Be this type of person 1 minute, be this other type of person another minute. I can't count on that type of person. I can't have people like that in my life. That's like the person who's got a pet. Oh, I love you so much. I love you. Oh, I love you. Such a good boy, good boy. 10 minutes later, boom, kicking it in the ribs and sending it across the room. That's how I take that. And I get again, I don't like using this PTSD term so much, but I get that because this goes back to my mother and other people that I know that are close to me. I can't handle that. All right? Maybe I'm the pussy. It's okay. You are what you eat. So I'm just saying that's crazy. I don't like that sort of thing. At any rate, getting along fine. Seems super cool. Marine Corps thing. I was led to believe the first time we met that that person saved their own money and paid for the surgery themselves, which was, in my mind, fine. Did your own thing. Now, this person sent me a bunch of notes afterwards and emails and really wanting to do it and pushing me to do it. So I was like, okay, we'll do it this week. And we made it happen. I encourage you to watch that video. Now, let's see what I got here. All right, I got the dem thing out of the way. Okay. Got that out of the way. Got that out of the way. Got that out of the way already. We're doing good here. So, we do this discussion, and now I realized, well, this is what we do the talk. I make the video. I don't watch the videos before I post them. So I don't remember everything I said or anything like that. But after the video, this person was super cool. Big hug, shaking of the hands. Dude, we got to hang out. Let's do some stuff together. It'll be fun. I'm like, yeah, cool, cool. Walk them out to their car. I'm using them and they because of what you're about to find out. So everything's cool. And I get home and I post the video up and don't think about it. I get on there to like see comments. I kind of keep track of comments so that I don't get bombarded all in once and have to spend an hour or more going through that. I wake up in the morning and there's an email that came from this person at 4:30 in the morning. So right away I'm thinking that ain't good. No email being sent at 4:30 in the morning is going to be a good thing. So I read it and they're not happy. They're nervous and all this, and they're accusing me of all this crazy nonsense, like I was over-sexualizing them and everything else. Now, let's just jump back real quick. Something I point out to them, I said it in the video, because obviously I've watched the video twice now since I put it up. And having been a Marine and everything, the discussion was, you're a Marine, you can't be a pussy, right? You should be able to talk about this stuff. They took umbrage with using that term. Like, okay, this is a problem. This is after the fact, of course. And, you know, they sold me on being one person, but now they got this other person that's got a problem with it. I'm dealing with two different people in the same body, right? Female brain. Female brain. So, okay. I send a note. By the way, I have all the emails. I have what I sent, I have what they sent, I have the text messages because it gets a little nutty. And I sent a real positive, upbeat email back to them that's a little tough love kind of, and pointing out like, hey, you came across great. everybody loves you. The comments are 100% positive. The criticism is against me because I'm talking too much. Because I was excited, you know, and he kept saying things that made me think of something to say. And I said in there that, you know, you might be unhappy at the moment, but you have to think this out and go back and watch the video, because by joking around like that was, we talked about this before we did the video. We were going to joke around about everything. I already said I'm a crude person. There's going to be some sexual stuff and everything else. Totally cool with it. 100% cool with it. And the idea is, if you guys are engaged and laughing and seeing how good this person's taking a joke and everything, you get to see that person as a normal human being, not somebody that's uber serious about everything. And that was important. I wanted to get that, to me, in my mind, that was doing that person a favor. That's what was going on there. Now, okay, so I send the email, I go to work. I come home from work, and the phone, what happened? There was a phone thing. I was in the shower, called, obviously didn't answer because I was in the shower. I come out, there's a text message saying, if you don't take this down in 2 hours, I'm going to, you know, I don't know what the terminology is, but basically, and he attempted this. He kind of did it, took it down. You're going to hear in the story. Excuse me. So, doesn't get more real than this place. So them, threatens to have YouTube, you know, take the video down. They're threatening me, and they're going to monitor my channel, make sure I don't talk about it. All this crazy stuff. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I call, answers the phone, and says, you need to take that video down right now. And first words out of my mouth are, well, did you watch it? And then I said, did you get my email this morning where I explained? And then there's this long pause, and then they say, I said no questions, take the video down right now, and then we can talk. But there was no questions. There was just ordering me around. Just for future reference, anybody watching this right now, you start telling me what to do, you start ordering me around, that ain't gonna go well. All right, I don't care that you were an officer in the Marine Corps. We're civilians now. All right, I mean, and I'm the guy as a busted private who yelled at a major, so I don't give a shit. Don't go telling me what I can and can't do, because this is, you're blindsiding me now with being a different person. That really pissed me off. So I tried to talk, and again, starts yelling over me, and I'm like, hey, you are a weirdo, goodbye, click. Now it gets interesting. So I get an email from a female email address. And this turns out this is the name of this person when they were a female, right? So now they're coming at me like a girl. And it's crazy. It's you have to take that down. And now, by the way, I had gone to the computer first, went to YouTube, saw that there was already this, it's not a strike, but it's, you know, a complaint basically for the video. And YouTube says, you know, we're going to review it, and if we see that this complaint is accurate, we'll have to ask you to edit the video or take the video down. And I looked at it real quick, and one of the options is if you blur the face out, you're golden, right? So that's what I do. It takes a day to do that. And so I already set that in motion before I respond to the email. And, you know, because their emails, if you don't take this down, I'm going to come after you some way, I guess legally or through YouTube or something. And then there's the threat of, I'm going to monitor your channel from now on to make sure you never talk about me again. And, you know, this is not talking about them. This is telling you what I'm going through. This is the funny thing. You can't say I can't talk about you if it involved me, because this is my life too. Right? That's crazy. So, and I have the proof. I can prove everything. This is a thing about, like, I did a video weeks ago. I had a couple different people in the last several months that have come at me that are psycho. Women, by the way. All women. It's only ever women. With all these crazy text messages. You know, 15 text messages with nonsense, making crap up, being vile and cursing and all this crazy stuff because of stuff they're inventing in their mind that never happened. seeing it just from their perspective and not stepping outside themselves and thinking about it before they start typing. What you don't realize when you do that is all the evidence is there. You come off as a psycho person. You come off as a crazy person. You come off as an unstable person, and all the emails and all the text exists. So if you push that and the person you're targeting isn't giving that back to you, because I don't engage that way. I come off as the normal sane person going, well, there's this. Well, what about that? Just calm, no threats. Now, the female email was kind of threatening and all this, and I had already edited the video. It was in the process. So my response there was, you are now harassing me, because there was multiple texts, multiple emails. And I said, here's the thing about this channel. Man, there's so many people that watch this channel that are like, plus my clients. I have clients that are doctors and attorneys and producers and business owners, and they like me, and they're willing to help me out all the time. And I have several attorney friends. So right away, I have this one attorney friend. I sent him a note, sent him a couple texts, and he says, don't communicate with this person anymore. No more communication. And if they continue to harass you, we can go after them for harassment. You can get a restraining order, all that kind of thing. So I'm not going to do any of that, but I sent a note back saying, you are now harassing me. I've already talked to an attorney, sent him a couple things. If you continue with this, I'll come after you, right? Just to be like, to spin the thing on them, because they're on a power trip at this moment. And I left it at that. And then a couple hours go by, and I start getting emails from the male email account, not the female account. So you see what's going on here. There's two people going on inside here. And now, and by the way, it's responding to the email I had sent early that morning, because that person had never read my response email. If that person had read my response email first, none of the freak out would have happened, because I covered everything in that real nice email I initially sent, where I was motivating that person to be strong and tough it out and be cool and understand that people saw you in a positive light and everything else. And now they read it. Now they're going, oh, I see. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you a creep. And they had brought up their therapist, right away. Had gone to a therapist, like talking to their therapist. The therapist like, yeah, that guy is like a jerk and he's a creep. He's sexualizing all this stuff. But now this person is saying, no, I see that it wasn't that. I understand the humor part. It's like, oh, boom. I mean, it's and then there's like 2 or 3 more emails like that of, so, hey man, I'm sorry. I just had this flip out. That hasn't happened to me in a long time. I hope you can understand. I hope we can still be friends. And it's another one of, hey, if you want to get together and hang out still. I'm not responding to any of this. I just left it at that. I reposted the video, and I took out the first few, whatever it was, less than a minute, where that person identified themselves with their full first and last name and their childhood, like where they were from and everything. So that's not there. We just get into the discussion. Now, as far as the discussion goes, you should listen to that again, because this person's not, they come off very cool, in that they're laughing, they're having a good time, but they're saying one thing then saying another. Like when I asked if you had ever said something about wanting to be the opposite sex when you were young, they said no, but then later they said that they did. What I realized in the video, and the reason I wanted it to stay up, I could have kept it off, but I wanted it to be up because I didn't know I was doing it at the time, but it gave me a chance to put my own thoughts about this situation out there with the reincarnation thing and everything. And I think that there's a possibility that I made that person think about those things after the fact, like, shit, I wish I would have thought about these things beforehand. Now, you get to the point, and this ties in with what I said about the young people being programmed in school, because this person's only 30 years old. You think at 30 you're an adult. You are, right? You are. But 30 today is what, as far as intellect and maturity, we were 30 when we were like 16 in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like these 30-year-olds today they do not have the maturity level that we had in the 80s at 16 years old, because we were all free-range kids. You understand? We've been through so much crap as kids, living on the street and drugs and sex and everything else. that, we were prepared. I mean, by the time you were 18 years old in 1984, you were good to go. You could go out into the world and live and deal with bullies. We had bullies. You had to learn how to deal with that stuff. It wasn't like, oh, I feel bad and somebody's coddling you. There was none of that shit going on back then. You had to learn. We were tougher, mentally tougher. And now that doesn't exist anymore. And it's a real friggin' problem because the rest of us have to deal with this crazy nonsense. Okay. So the part that is screwed up is if you understand what happened during that last administration with, you say woke and people go, you don't know what woke means. Woke means that you know what's going on. Now, look, woke has changed. That's like saying gay means happy still. You understand what I'm saying? They changed the definition of the words, So it sucks that they do that, but they do it. And now woke is that it encompasses all the crazy ideas that men could be women, women could be men, men can get pregnant, men can breastfeed, men can beat up women in sports and compete with them in sports, and it's equal. It's all bullshit. It's all was a stupid test is what it was, and most of you friggin' failed it. So during that administration, they were allowing people to get these, addictomy surgeries. That's the official word for that surgery, addictomy. I thought that I need an addictomy surgery. They were pushing that through, and this happens. How crazy is it that that's a thing that's happening right now? I get out of marketplace to buy something, and I actually meet one of these people who had this done through the administration. And here's the thing. I'm aware of two people in my life. Now, a girlfriend of mine was married to one that it's a fucked up story because this friend of mine, she was beautiful. It still is. Beautiful in high school and everything. Went out with a couple popular guys, but had a few bad incidents with men. Scumbags that took advantage of her sexually, let's just say. You know what I'm talking about. And so she was kind of gun shy, and she met this real sensitive, what she thought was a man, and went out with this person a bunch, and then fell in love with this person. And it wasn't until that the love was there and the relationship was there that the other person revealed that they were born a female, and they hadn't even had the surgery yet at that point. That's how I knew about the scar thing, because when I got into the picture, they already had the scar thing. I already had the penis constructed. The other person I know, we have a bunch of mutual friends. It's a motorcycle world, and it was born a man that had the female surgery. Both of these people had the transgender surgeries probably 20 years ago or more, so it was a long time ago. Now, the female that used to be a male doesn't know that I know. Pretty hot. As a matter of fact, when I found out the truth, I was a little pissed off because that person is so hot that they were in the porn industry for a while and passed as a woman in the porn industry. Married some wealthy guy and all that. And but I screw with that person from time to time on social media because they post things that are male brain. That's cool, like totally cool, funny, conservative minded, in the guns, in the motorcycles, all this stuff, politics, like. And I'll type a comment like, "Man, you think like a man." Because I'm snickering in my brain, because it is a man. It just outwardly appears to be a female, but it's still a man. And this is the problem with doing these operations. You're going to, come on. Think about it. Now, if you're a man, you want to be a woman, that's your thing. I can't even, the thought of cutting my dick off. That's my favorite thing about being a man is, get an erection, have an orgasm. That's like the best thing, man. That's the whole point. It ain't just about standing to pee. Shit, half of you guys that give me shit here, you dudes, you're sitting down to pee. I know that's what you're doing. So, if a man does the operation, he cuts his dick off, has a vagina created, and has some tits put on him, whatever. I guess the vagina works. It's just being penetrated. You're not thinking about getting a hard on anymore or ejaculating. Your testes are gone. You've done that to yourself and fine. But if you're a female and you want to be a man and you have a penis built on you, you have that addictomy surgery, it ain't going to work like a real dick. You're never going to be able to have an organ unless they've got some new thing I'm unaware of, right? Like some dildo you can buy and you can pump some sort of cream in there and squeeze it, make shit come out so it looks like it's coming. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this stuff. I don't want to know. I mean, I ask these questions. I mean, is it circumcised or uncircumcised? I was asking crazy shit, crazy stuff because I really want to know. I wasn't trying to be mean-spirited at all. None of it was about that. It was just honest. I was just honestly curious about this stuff. But I'm telling you, man, you, man, girl, whatever, you still think you still have a female brain. You could take all the hormones you want to take and have this thing constructed. I suppose they could get realistic looking. I mean, I think that there's men that if they have erectile dysfunction, they could actually have a testicle that you pump. Like you pump it up and it fills the thing with blood so you can get an erection. Maybe they have that for them. I don't know. But what I picked up from this particular person and what I know from other people and also from trans people that don't get the surgery, their biggest kink, like for their own personal satisfaction, is passing. That's all that matters to them. Oh, I fooled that one, fooled that one, fooled that one. And you know, a woman's brain, all they care about is getting what they want. That's all that matters. And that's what this person did with the military. You heard this person say they went in, had one appointment, that doctor signed off for them to get the surgery. Never should have happened. That should have never happened, man. Because the two people I know that had those surgeries, I know, at least I know for sure with one of them. I've heard from our mutual friends, the other one was the same thing. But I've also looked into this, back in the day. You're supposed to go through months, if not a year or more, of therapy. Getting your mind right, making you understand exactly what you're going to be going through. This person in our conversation said they were supposed to go back 6 times, which in my mind still ain't enough, but they were able to convince that doctor with one appointment to get that surgery. Now, it seems to me, they didn't admit it, that person went in at the time knowing they could get the surgery. I think a lot of people did that. And I also think that there were people in that administration who were pushing the woke agenda in the military, right, with the transsexual stuff and everything else, as a way to tear that down. We get enough people in there that are mentally unstable, then we can control it. And we can control their actions, and it weakens us, and all these things. That's what it seems like to me. I'm not saying I'm right, but that's how it seems. And I just think it's nuts that somebody could go in there and have one appointment and then get this surgery. And now you can see with what I went through, like, think about it. For the rest of your life, you're going to be on, you're going to have different surgeries probably. That's going to be an ongoing thing. That's like a woman getting breast implants. It's not a one and done thing, right? Sometimes you have to take them out. One pops, you got to put new ones in. It's going to be an ongoing thing that you have to deal with. Can you imagine sewing up your vagina and having a thing sewn on there? Like, that's this visual thing. You need to look at yourself like this every day with this thing hanging out. Like, yeah, I feel good. That makes me feel good. Fuck, man. You could have just got a double-ended dildo and stuck it in there and done that. That could have been good for you. This person, these people, have to keep going for therapy. They have to keep a therapist. They have to keep taking hormones. They have to do all these things. And it's their prerogative. It's their prerogative. But that can't be good for your brain. It just can't be good for you. You can't, and this is the thing, I mentioned it to this person in the conversation towards the end where I said, a lot of the people that do the mass shootings are involved with this in one way or another when it comes to the transgender thing or being gay and that sort of thing. That's not saying all mass shooters are transgender or all mass shooters are gay or anything else. Although, most of the mass shooters have been on antidepressant drugs, which is something that they don't want you to know. They almost never bring it up, but if you get into these and you look into them, you will discover that. Because I did it. I took the time. Over a year ago, up until that point, every one of them had been on, most of them had been on it and then stopped it, and then they went crazy and started shooting people. So we're finding out now that a lot of these recent shooters were transgender or dating a transgender or gay or whatever. They're confused. Basically, the brain is a mess. And I'll tell you something about that too when it comes to diet. Please eat meat because it will keep your brain healthy. The fake meat thing they want to feed you and trying to talk you into eating nothing but fruits and vegetables all the time. I know you can sustain yourself on that. You can live on it. But your brain needs particular fatty acids, amino acids, and proteins only found in animal products. Period. That's it. And that's what your brain needs to actually grow and develop when you're young. So I mean, if you're raising your kid as a vegan or something, you're setting that person up for problems. In my opinion, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. And I'm just saying, this is what I went through this past week. Yeah. The whole thing was nuts. And I'm not going to communicate with this person anymore because now they're unstable. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit nervous. This is a Marine, right? And with these people being, I'm not saying this person is going to do this. I'm not suggesting this at all. But I don't know. You know, I started packing, like walking around carrying a gun a long time. When I went to that person's house, I had my 380 in my front pocket just to protect myself. I'm going to somebody's house I don't know, going to go in their house to buy this box. That it could be a crazy person right off the bat. Turns out, so far. But what if that person is angry with me now and loses their shit? Just shows up one day. I got to be able to defend myself. That really came from, with me personally, I had a life, you know, I've touched on it here. I was a little bit of a hoodlum, and I dealt with people and did things when I was young with dangerous people. And there's one guy in particular when I was young that I ended up putting in jail. I put him in jail because he framed me for a crime that I didn't do. And I stood up to him. And I knew he was a crazy person. So, like, crazy enough to even today. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he was to show up and try to take me out or something. So I'm always prepared for that. But on top of that, I live in the city. It's a dangerous place, right? Now you deal with somebody who's shown you that there's two people. There's two people inside that person's head. I mean, to the point where I got an email from the female, and a couple hours later, I got an email from the male. It's the same person. And this one is mean, trying to get what they want, threatening, and the bro is super cool and apologetic and wanting to hang out. And it's the same person. That happened. It just happened. We're in the last few days. So, yeah. The thing is, and this is what Trump does, and this is what I did too, is you meet somebody that's interesting, that's totally different from you. You treat them kind. You talk to them. You let them talk. Ask them a bunch of questions. Let them talk. They're going to reveal who they are. And that's exactly what happened in that video. And that's, you know, I didn't do it thinking that that was going to happen. I genuinely thought, well, cool person. We can talk about all this stuff. People are curious about it. But if you go back now with all this information I just gave you and watch that video again, you're going to see it in a different light. This is like, and I don't want to throw shade her way too much because I do like her, but perfect example. The movie Valley Girl, right? Fun movie, man. Great movie. I fell in love with Deborah Foreman. She was the star of that. She was the Valley Girl, right? She's the chick that Nicolas Cage is just enamored with in that picture. And you watch that picture and you realize, well, she's got a boyfriend already who I also know. I used to ride motorcycles around with him from time to time. And Michael Bowen, who's actually cousins with the Carradines. And I know I hung out with Bobby Carradine for 3 hours, sat next to him on a radio show a couple years ago. And Bobby Carradine's super cool. And he revealed that to me. I didn't even know. So Michael Bowen in that picture, he's a jerk. And they break up. He screws her friends and everything else. But if you look at it, like she dumps him for this new guy, right? And you think it's a love story. She loves the guy. Okay, great. Well, I end up becoming friends with Deborah Foreman. And I like Deborah. But she's got some kooky ideas, man. She's got some kooky ideas. And I went to see her in Texas. I was driving across the country and I built her a table, and she gave me a drone that's still in the package. I never took it out, never used it. And I got her whole story. And you realize I saw a different side to her now. Like, for instance, if you they've redone it, like you can see a movie poster that she's on, but originally the movie poster for that movie does not show her on the movie poster. And the reason for that, she told me the whole story, was that she had been a Revlon girl, like a paid model, before she got into acting. So she didn't understand that when you make a movie, part of your contract that you're getting paid for is to do publicity, right? Which means doing interviews and showing up for photo shoots and all that. And she refused through her agent to show up for photo shoots because she thought she deserved to be paid for photo shoots because she was a model. That's pretty friggin' heady of her, right? And to this day, she still says that. Like, I should have been paid. And I got to see that there's like a little bitch in there, right? There's a little bitch in there that she comes off very nice. She's very nice to me, but she has that bitch quality. And that's what it was. And knowing that now and going back and looking at the film, you realize she's a bitch. Like, she dumps her friend or boyfriend, screwing with this guy. Like, the whole thing is like, I see it in a different light now when I watch the movie. It's actually hard for me to enjoy it now. I just see her character as a different thing. And that's my point. You see it one way, but then when you get more information, you see it the other way. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? We could probably sit here and come up with a bunch of examples of that. I'm sure you guys have. I mean, you've experienced it. So that's this week. I don't know. I'm hoping we're about an hour. Let me just double check. Just double check the notes here. I just wanted to get that out there. Forgive me with the note thing. And, I'll say this too. So, because we said in that video, that person didn't know a lot. That's the crazy thing. You're going to think to yourself, I want to be a man, I want to have the surgery, but you don't even know the definitions of the terms when it comes to the difference between the transvestite and what's the trannies, what's the thing? I can't think of the word right now. The guys who are overly dressing like women, like, with the crazy hair and the makeup, and those are usually the gay guys, and it's performative. Whereas a transvestite is just a man that wants to wear women's clothes. Now, look, some transvestites that want to wear women's clothes may also be gay, but that's not necessarily part of the criteria to being a transvestite. It's strictly a man that wants to wear women's clothes. Because I said that J. Edgar Hoover was a transvestite. I watched Public Enemy the other day, which is the story of John Dillinger as played by Johnny Depp. Pretty good flick. I'm into it for the firearms because I know that, and they do show it in there, but they don't show him using it. John Dillinger had a Colt 1911 38 Super that he had a foregrip from a Thompson machine gun put on with an extended magazine, and it was a full auto 1911 and 38 Super, and he liked it because it could shoot through car doors. Because a 1911, bigger round, slower moving, and car doors would stop it. So he liked that pistol, and I'm into I'm a firearm guy. I'm into firearms. So at any rate, in that picture, they show J. Edgar Hoover, and they allude to the fact that he's also gay. They make him talk a certain way. They got him with men around him. They're trying to make it sound like he was gay, and I'm not sure if he was. He may have been. I don't know. I don't really care. But the bottom line is he wore women's clothes. That was his thing. I'm just saying that there's different levels to this that I never wanted to know. I never wanted to know any of this. Now, my innocence and my unabashed ability to just ask anybody anything is just part of my life. When I met Sarah, we met at the Saline Valley Hot Springs. And a couple guys showed up, older guys. They were in their 70s, good shape, 4x4 guys. They were in the oil industry back in the 1970s and met in the Sudan. And so we had some really interesting conversations about oil and whatnot. And I mean, I actually hit him with some questions like, what are you saying? How is it cheaper to buy oil from another country on the other side of the world and transport it here in tankers, right? Insurance, the cost of the crew, the fuel to get it here, everything else. How is that less than pulling it out of the ground here and processing it here? Explain that to me. And he's like, oh, well, I'm not sure. I'm just a guy with maybe a little bit better than average intellect, pretty smart guy. Don't let the tattoos fool you. Well, the other guy, such a sweetheart, such a nice guy, obviously a man, but doing the transvestite thing, like wearing a female wig, wearing a little skirt, fingernails and toenails painted in a way that like it didn't look good. It just the whole thing was looking weird, but awesome, funny, great. I was cracking that person up. I think he went by Effie. So, the talk was, oh yeah, it's, we're not, that's his name. Call him that. Refer to him as her. That whole thing, because that's what people do out here. Okay, well, I just didn't do that, and I didn't not do it to be mean. My brain just couldn't compute it, so I'm like, dude, the whole time. Hey, bro. Hey, dude. And he's totally cool. And then finally, there's a bunch of us around, and I just ask straight up. I'm like, so what is going on with this? What's happening, man? I need to know. Big smile on his face, happy that I asked. Everybody else is just like this. They're just listening because nobody else had the balls to ask this guy. You can't go out into the world looking like that and just expect people to go along with it without any questions. That's too much to ask of us. You should be cool with people going, dude, what the hell's going on with you? What is that? What's that about? There's nothing wrong with asking. That's not a rude thing. This thing that people are programmed is like it's rude to ask. It's not rude to ask. Let me know, because that gives you a chance to express yourself of how you are and make those people understand where you're coming from. You might not like it. Not the person I'm asking the questions to. You people listening to this, because some of you don't. I know from the comments. You don't like that. Oh, you're accepting their behavior. They're a bunch of freaks and weirdos, and they don't deserve this. Breathe the same air of us. I don't want them looking at kids. Blah blah blah. They're here. They've always been here. I talked to my buddy Shakin' Steve the other day, who's been my music guru since the late 1980s when I started working in nightclubs for the mob. And he was a DJ at a club next to mine. And Steve's older than me. He's in his 60s. And he's the guy that I play his music sometimes on the channel. He grew up with the Dramarama guys, the band Dramarama. When they were in high school, they all played together and everything else before they became Dramarama. And but Steve, like, he flipped out on it the other day. He's like, yeah, Mike, he's like, the New York Dolls, they were all dressed like chicks. Bowie, all of it. Lou Reed, right? Walk on the Wild Side, the Kinks, Lola. A lot of people in rock and roll, glam rock, that whole scene. And a lot of them were, slightly bisexual, and some of them are gay. It's always been a thing. It's always been around. There was a general from France that helped us win the Revolutionary War. By all accounts, was gay. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. What we don't like is gay people forcing it on us and trying to get us to accept their choices. We don't care. Nobody cares. Stop making me have to care about something I don't care about. I don't want to know about it. Don't want to think about it. So here I am. I'm in the Saline Valley, and I talked to this guy, Effie, and this guy is so cool. He's still married, has daughters, and his whole family supports him wearing women's clothes and presenting as a woman. Very fit. Goes to the gym. Been going to the gym for decades. He's in his 70s. Jacked guy. And goes swimming all the time. One day he shows up with the wig on, presenting as a woman, and he's telling me this. He's like, dude, he says, Mike, they were my friends. He says, everybody there accepted me. And he said that they all knew it was the reality. Like, they knew him because when you talk to the guy, effeminate guy. Not like, I'm not saying faggy, I'm saying effeminate. Just soft, like a soft speaker and very kind. Oh, very nice. Oh, Oh, it's so nice. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, you're so sweet. You're really attractive. You know that kind of person. A man who does. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Knees together. Oh yeah. Mm, mm. That's that guy Effie. That's how he lived his life, and it was awesome. And he loved it. He loved that I asked, and he was able to tell his truth. And we got along great after that. And again, I was cracking that dude up the whole time, or whatever. So, and I have other stories like this being out here in LA. Believe me, when I first got out here, I did not know, and I was doing some extra work, and I met these girls. One was a model, and I'm having a good time. And they knew this guy who was a DJ, and he needed a roommate, and he was living in West Hollywood. So I set up an appointment to meet him, and it was like late morning in West Hollywood on Santa Monica Boulevard, and I got there early, as I would always do. Was wearing a watch back in the day, and I go into this joint, like get a bagel or something and a coffee. I don't remember, and I didn't notice that it was all men in there, but it was, and I do remember like guys looking at me like, and looking at my dick, like. And I'm looking down to see if my fly's undone. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I don't put it together. I go and I'm not comfortable in this joint, so I go back outside, and this guy shows up, and I look at him, I say, hey, am I dressed funny or something? Like, is there something weird with what I'm wearing? He goes, what do you mean? So I went in this joint to, get what I'm eating there. And, like, people are looking at me funny, and he starts laughing. He goes, well, they're all gay. And I went, what? He goes, yeah, did you notice it was all men in there? And I look in, and I go, yeah. I see it's all dudes. He goes, yeah, well, they're all gay. I'm like, come on, dude. What do you mean they're gay? They're all homosexuals? He goes, yeah. Because this is West Hollywood. I didn't know. I had no idea, man. And this is where this guy lived. And so for the first, let me think here, September, October, November, December, January. Yep. I think February 2nd or something, I moved into this apartment of 93. So for the first 5 months or so living in LA, I lived in West Hollywood on Westminster Boulevard. I couldn't walk down the street without guys, nice biceps, baby. You're adorable. I had on 3 occasions guys whip their dicks out of their pants. Crazy, man. Crazy. I'm telling you. So I had to learn real quick living out here that I had to treat everybody as gay until proven straight. Because the way I speak, I was, like offending people. Now, I was so innocent and I was so good looking. Back then. Do I have any studly pictures of myself around? I've got a picture that I found the other day as a joke because I was talking to this gal pal of mine in Colorado that hopefully I'll see in the next few weeks. And I used the term beefcake as a joke. But I remembered that there's a beefcake photo of me after I had my ankle surgery in bed. And I'm tan, and I got the abs and the mustache, and I'm like this. And it's a pretty, I have to say, it looks like a Playgirl picture, from the magazine. And I sent it to her. Maybe I'll tag it at the end of this video so you guys can laugh at me. It's so ridiculous. It might be on the phone. If it's on the phone, I'll put it at the end of the video. Don't hold it against me. But yeah, it was a crazy thing for me to understand. And of course, I got into the film business and everything else. And so a lot of those people are just like that. And but they were cool. Everybody's cool, and they respect your boundaries once you set them. And I don't have a problem with gay people or any of that, obviously. And many of them are my best clients. But the thing is, I don't pretend to be cool with everything. You understand? I'm a man. They're themselves. When they do or say something that I'm not cool with, I say it to them. And they respect it. And that's how we should be. Know what your boundaries are, know what you're willing to deal with and not deal with, and make no apologies for that. Okay? And hopefully this person's going to have a good life. I wish nothing but the best for them. Want them to go out into the world and be productive and live their best life and all of that. Nothing in that video is a bad thing about them personally. It was good. It was good if you watched that video and got something out of it. At least you know it's a human being. You know, you don't have to agree with the choices that they made. But if you do listen to that again, I think you're going to hear things that I'm saying that make sense. And again, you're going to hear me question things like you know, what's the okay? Because at one point I point out that when they were a female, they never had sex with a man, never been penetrated with a penis. That means they're a gold star lesbian, by the way. Never sex with a man. And I'm like, okay, so you never were penetrated with penis. You don't like penis. Don't even really like touching it. But you sewed up your pussy and then you had the addictomy surgery. So now you got a penis. You don't like penis, but now you got one that doesn't work. You can't do anything with other than piss out of it. It's just turgid enough where you could force it into something, I suppose. But what's that going to do for you? Are you having some kind of like I wanted to get more into that, but you know, I knew where I had to stop. But if you don't have testicles, yeah, that work where you can ejaculate and have an orgasm. Sorry to be so graphic, but that's the whole point. You know, being a man. That is the other thing about being a man, by the way. Glad I didn't sign off yet. Is what I treated that person like a man. I didn't treat that person like a woman. All right? And when men are together and there's no women around, that's how they talk to one another. Okay? Men say foul things and crude things and make crude jokes and talk about dick and pussy and all these things. Men do that for fun because it's just an outrageous. It's just outrageous. It's an outrageous thing. Boom. Okay, and then you keep talking, and then sorry to get your when you pull your panties out of your pussy. Funny. Like guys josh around, especially veterans, especially Marine veterans. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Two Marines hanging out talking. You know they're going to be talking about that shit. Period. So I treated that person like a man. The way they're presenting as a man, you want to be accepted as a man, you want to be seen as a man, you're going to be talked to like a man. So you can't come back and be like, oh man, you sexualize me. Are you a man or a woman? What are you? Because you know what I'm saying? Like here's the thing too, tiny person, I wouldn't ever do anything physical with that person, but you can't present as a man and then act crazy with somebody, and then another man. And what if that man gets so pissed off at you, they're like, bam! Because that's how I grew up. You know, some guy says the wrong thing to you, bam! Not going to say that again, are you? You understand what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to do that with this poor little person? You know what I mean? Of course not. I'm just saying, you better watch what you're getting your ass into. You know, your ass is writing checks. Your mouth is writing checks. Your ass can't cash. I just threw a whole other thing in my brain. You understand what I'm saying? There's problems with this. So I think it's a little bit odd. But if you're a grown person and you're spending your own money, not taxpayer money, and you want to have these, fine. But you better spend a year or more. Don't rush it. Understanding what you're getting yourself into mentally, so that you can handle it once you become that other thing, which you never really will. You're just going to look that way. You're not really going to be the other thing. You just look that way. If you're a man who becomes a woman, you're still a man. In your brain, you're still a man. Okay? I know, you know, you're going to say, oh, I've always been a woman. In my brain, I'm a woman. I get it. You understand what I'm saying? There's a thing going on there, and you gotta make sure you can handle it. And this person's very new to it and clearly didn't go through enough of the cycle. At least they admit it. One appointment, surgery. That's a little, and again, taxpayer dime. I'm not cool with that at all. Not trying to judge. I'm just saying I think that's a little fucked up. At any rate, again, wish nothing but good things for that person. I really think that person presented great in the video. They made themselves look good because they took all the ribbing and everything else, which was the intention. That was the whole intention of the video. Rib you around a little bit so people can see you can take it and be a normal person. So it's a win-win for everybody, really. Now, at the same time, it's not a viral video. 1,200 people have seen it? That'll probably be it. I don't think it's going to take off. You know, I wish it would, because I think it would be good for a lot of people to see. So we'll see. But go back and watch it. I'll put it in the description. Let me see if I can find my beefcake photo and embarrass myself. It's probably not a good idea because there are a lot of you guys out there that think I'm foxy. Be good to one another. Have a good weekend. Be kind to one another, and I'll catch you in the next one.